Back to the Mintner method. I'm your host, Andrew Mintner, and on today's video, we are going to break down another subscriber suggestion, and it's going to be Navy versus Charlotte. So, if you're familiar, the Navy video I did a couple weeks ago had the most hits on my channel. I think it was the UAB game, if I'm not mistaken. And boy, have we come a long way from there. Okay, that game, Navy was favored by like 4 points. And then you saw Army was favored by 25.5 against them like 2 weeks later. So, as you can tell, we've done a lot of academy team breakdowns, and the handicap is pretty straightforward. So, we were just looking at to see if the opposing team is able to defend the run, and if they have an offense that can possibly counteract the academy defense to, change up the game script, right? So right out the gate, when I look at the early downs data here, Charlotte is one of the absolute worst teams in early downs EPA, and they're especially poor against the run, 129th out of 134 teams. And as you know, these academy teams, it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, and you're just, it's almost like you can't stop them. And so this right out the gate is extremely concerning if you are thinking about being on the Charlotte side of this. Now, as I look at the defensive side of it, there's not a lot to write home about when it comes to Charlotte's offense, especially on early downs, and Navy's defense. Nothing that really stands out that I think is going to be a major factor. I think they're going to both have their spots with those two units. But when we go to the advanced statistics, you're going to see a couple of things that I can't get past, okay? So Navy, first off, is very explosive, which is extremely rare for an academy team. They're 27th in overall explosiveness. Charlotte, 120th in explosiveness allowed. And like normal, successful academy teams, not named Air Force this year, is third. They're third in stuff rate, sixth in offensive line yards, first in offensive front seven havoc allowed. And so then they're fourth in rushing efficiency and 13th in rushing explosiveness. So when I look over here, Charlotte does have an okay stuff rate, okay overall havoc, but like defensive line yards below average, front seven havoc very below average, 98th. And then what's most telling is the rushing efficiency is 113th. So the thing is, even though they're 73rd in rushing explosiveness, which is also not good, this right here is a big problem, because if you're 113th in rushing efficiency, you do not know if you're going to be able to force either a punt or a turnover on downs against an academy team. Like, it really is going to be tough for you to get off the field. And so, like we saw when Navy played Memphis, I don't remember if they punted in that game. I didn't watch the entire game, but I'd be shocked if they did. And so also the flip side here, they're not really good against the pass. Again, we're not capping Navy's passing ability like we don't cap Army's passing ability. But one thing I have noticed is these academy teams are getting infinitely better at throwing the ball down the field. Not saying that's ever going to be part of the handicap, because it's not, but they are. Like, they're getting way better at it. And I think people are kind of taking notice to that. Now, when we come over to the other side of the ball, Charlotte's offense is actually decent. They're third in overall explosiveness, and, that is mainly curtailed by rushing explosiveness, which, Navy's defense is very susceptible to a lot of different areas, whether it's rushing efficiency, defensive line yards, stuff rate, things like that. They're pretty susceptible to numerous areas. They're very good against the pass for whatever reason, 11th in overall efficiency and 40th in explosiveness allowed. But they do have some holes on defense. The thing here is the line is very similar to the Army game. It's 16.5 or 17, depending on where you're looking at. Now, the thing is, though, even though I feel like Charlotte is going to have its moments in this game offensively because they are explosive, and that does tend its way to break through and score points. I think that there is a very good chance that Navy might not punt this game, and if they don't punt and they're scoring on every drive, like covering 16 and a half and 17 is totally within the realm of possibility, especially if the defense is just average, which is really what academy teams are always looking for. They just want an average defense. Because if the offense is elite, the defense is going to be on the field for less time. They're going to be fresher. And if they get up and force Charlotte to throw the ball, that is kind of Navy's strength, right? And so I think this game, and the other one I lean towards East Carolina and the points, but I cannot in good faith take Charlotte here simply because they just do not match up against the run well enough for me to feel like they can get enough stops to cover this number. Like, yes, their offense is explosive and they could get there, but Navy could score, 40 plus points, and then you're looking up like, down 40-14 and like praying like, the game's over basically, I feel as if, it's going to be another dominant performance, and they're just going to just wear this team down until they basically melt them in the second half and bust some huge plays, like they did against Memphis. And, like they've done against UAB and pretty much anybody else. Like, when we look at the schedule, like, there's not, really anything here. Let me get to Navy, excuse me. And they've played a decent, playing Memphis, and then, Air Force, they just dominated because, Air Force is terrible this year for whatever reason. But they've just done exactly what they're supposed to do in their games. Charlotte, on the other hand, they've played a tougher schedule. Like, they've played North Carolina, they've played Indiana. So they've had some experience in playing up a little bit, but I don't really think that's going to matter. They were not competitive in either of those games. They do get an extra week to prepare for Navy, which, gives them a little bit of an edge there. But it doesn't really matter. You can't really fix a defense in one bye week. That's the thing me and my buddy have talked about numerous times. Like, you can fix an offense and, like, scheme up better plays and put yourself in better positions. You just can't, like, scheme up a defense. Like, they just can't get better, like, immediately. And this early down rush EPA is on top of, like, just the overall efficiency. I just don't know where they're going to get stops, and that's going to be a problem. And I just don't think they can cover the number. And I'm going to be taking Navy minus 16 and a half or minus 17. I think that's right where it should be, but I take that with confidence without worrying whether or not that can be covered. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for this video, this episode. If you enjoyed the content, please like, subscribe, share, comment, share it with a loved one or friends who might enjoy this type of content. As always, you can make suggestions on the videos for matchups next week for me to do. Unfortunately, it's Friday, so I'm late to the game this week, and so I won't be taking any other suggestions. I just saw these on a couple of comments last night, and so that's gonna, that'll be it for this week. I'm doing one more video. It's gonna be the Georgia-Texas game. I feel like it has to be done. It's too big of a game to pass up. And but other than that, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.